Hey friends, welcome back to the Build a Better Business video series. If you've just discovered these videos, welcome. It's so great to have you. I'm so glad you found us. I hope you find these videos helpful and full of tips and tricks to help you build that business of your dreams. I do record a new video every week and it's on topics to help you be more successful. So if you missed any, jump onto YouTube. You can check out all the previous episodes and get caught up. Always, 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 if there is a topic that you think would be helpful for you or anyone else, you can just leave me a comment and I will love taking suggestions. Last week, we talked about the HST and how it all worked. And we got up to the, okay, now you're registered, what the heck do you do now? Just a reminder in case you missed it, so you have to register for the HST legally if you hit the 30,000 income threshold and the previous 4 calendar quarters. If that's still confusing, just go back to the previous episode and check it out. This week, I promised to tell you about something called the quick method and how you could legitimately, possibly make money from collecting taxes for the government. So just to back up a little bit, the basic idea behind the HST is, or GST, HST, I'm using them interchangeably. The idea is if you sell something, a product or service, you collect tax on behalf of the government and you put it away somewhere because you owe it to them and you're going to give it to them later. Little side note here, I really, really recommend actually physically taking the tax you collect plus a percentage of what you earn, put it in another bank account that you never touch so that you can pay your HST and your income taxes when they come due. It's sitting in that account waiting for that. That way you never get to the end of the year right after you've had the pay your annual insurance, your professional fees, Christmas, all those things, and you discover you don't have the money to pay the government. So just put it away, don't touch it, takes that stress away. Back to the HST. So you're collecting for the government, but then let's say you have to buy stuff for your business, right? So you've got business expenses. The person who's selling it to you is collecting the HST as well, very likely. So it's like you're collecting money, tax, you're paying tax. So to try and avoid paying tax on tax on tax, the idea is that you collect from your customers and you put it in this pile for the government. And then every time you have to pay someone for the HST on your business expenses, you can take it out of that pile that you owe the government and give it to the other business owner. So you just take it out of that pile. Makes sense. And then at the end of the year, whatever's left in the pile, you give it to the government. It does make a logical sense in a twisted kind of way. You'll just have to trust me on that. It can be a bit of a pain to track though, right? It's quite manual. By the way, that's why I love accounting software that does all the work for you, but I digress. It can be cumbersome to track all of the money you collect from customers, then all of the tax you pay on your business expenses, and you have to net them out and then you send it in. What if I told you there was a super easy way to do it and it doesn't take all of this in and out tracking? It's called the quick method. Obviously, the traditional way of the ins and outs is called the long form method. The quick method is true to its name. It's quick. The government doesn't seem to advertise that it's there, but if you have the quick method, it's going to make your life so much easier. So what is the quick method? So it's super easy to use. A lot of people don't seem to know about it, as I was saying. And so what you do is instead of keeping track of all this money in, money out, what did I spend, what did I collect, you simply have to keep track of your total sales. Now, obviously, your accounting system, whatever form of an accounting system that you use, it's going to keep track for you of all your revenues and expenses, and that's what it should be doing. But this is specifically just for the HST return. What you need to know is your sales. So under the quick method, what you do is you don't have to keep all track of all the individual amounts. You take your total sales, you add the HST back onto it, whatever it is. In Ontario, it's 13%. And then you multiply that total number by a predetermined percentage that's dictated by the government. Every province has a different number. So I'm not going to tell you what the number is because you might be watching this in BC and it'll be totally wrong. So what they've done is they've collected all of this data from all these businesses over all the time of the HST, GST, HST, and they figured out what the average is across most businesses. So they just said, everybody just use this percentage. So you take that number, you multiply it against your sales, and that's the number that you owe, instead of tracking all the ins and outs. Now, there are businesses that are not allowed to use the quick method. There's a few other things like financial institutions, not-for-profits. So for many, many small businesses, it's the most super simple method to use. Now, note here, it does have to be a small business. So that means there's an upper limit on the income that you can earn to still be considered a small business and still allowed to use the quick method. The upper limit for the income is $400,000. But if you're having $400,000 in income, it's very likely that you have an accountant who is taking care of all of this for you already, so you don't have to worry about it. So if you are under $400,000, you're still a small business, you can use the quick method, and the calculation makes things so much simpler. You don't have to figure it all out, everything you collected. You don't have to take it all off. What you paid is just a simple percentage calculation. If you're already registered and you do not know if you're registered for the quick method, maybe it might take you a little longer right now, but give the government a call and ask them. They're very friendly and helpful. It's very likely that you're not under the quick method if you don't know, because you would have put yourself down under the quick method when you registered at some point. Because when you phone to register, they're just going to make you regular. They're not going to put you under the quick method. If you're just getting ready to register for the HST, GST, I recommend you request the quick method when you phone in to get your number. And then they'll just say, okay, fine, and they'll put you under the quick method. If you're already registered and you know that you're not under the quick method, then, but you want to be, because who wouldn't want to be, then you can change to the quick method. You could probably call and ask them to switch you, and I'll include a form at the bottom of the video with a link to fill out the request to switch you over. It just makes your life easier if you switch to the quick method. So once you've determined that you have to register for the HST, or if you're already registered and you're not under the quick method, just switch yourself over. This method, now to the part where you can make money, this method can be lucrative for businesses that have low business expenses. So a lot of massage therapists, you have your clinic space, you have supplies, etc. But in general, your expenses are not, and compared to other businesses, your expenses are pretty low. So using the quick method, you usually end up owing less to the government for HST than if you use the long form method. And you can do the experiment both ways, but it would be pretty awesome, right? It's not illegal. The government has determined the industry-wide averages that they're using, and in their mind, I guess it all works out in the end. So if you're registered and using the quick method, now maybe you make money. It's not huge, but you can pay a little bit less. So the next question, how often do you have to pay for your HST once you get registered? So that's going to depend. If you owe more than $3,000 annually in HST, then you have to pay quarterly. And people can sometimes stress about how much they have to pay each quarter. So the easiest way is just take what you paid last year and divide it by 4. If you expect to be making about the same amount. If you know that your income is going to be different because, say, maybe you raised your prices, or maybe you hired new staff, or maybe you didn't work for 2 months, just make your best guess of what you think your annual income is going to be, calculate what your HST would be on that, divide it by 4. Easy peasy. Now, one of the big mistakes, this is the thing I want you to pay attention to, I see, and I know this can be confusing, is when you are a contractor working for a clinic, you're an independent business. Your transaction is with the clinic, not the client, not the patient, not the customer. Yes, you are interacting with that person. If you're a massage therapist, you've massaged that person, and the transaction came about because of that interaction, but your financial transaction is with the clinic. You are billing the clinic. Your income is the amount you bill the clinic. You charge the HST or the GST on the amount you bill the clinic. If you are not registered for the HST, because say you're below $30,000 in income and you haven't registered yet, the clinic could still be charging HST to the clients because they are registered. That does not mean that they are collecting HST for you. They are a separate business. They are charging their customers, who are your clients, the HST. If you are registered, you are charging the clinic. If you work in more than one clinic, You might even find a situation where you're registered for the HST and you're charging the clinic HST, but maybe the clinic is small, or I've seen where it's a chiropractic clinic. Chiropractors don't have to charge HST. So they might not be registered for the HST because their massage portion is too small, so they don't charge HST to the clients, but you are charging HST to the clinic. This is a super important distinction. I know it can be super confusing. If you're not sure, then you should check in with an accountant, right? Or maybe do some CEUs and take a course on this. How cool would that be? Spoiler alert, I have a business accounting course coming down the pipe soon. It's not super sexy, but it's super important, and it will make your life so much easier. Last but not least, why would you register even if you didn't have to? Well, think about this. If you're working and not making the $30,000 yet, your clients get used to paying a certain amount, right? For massages or whatever your business is. Then you hit the $30,000 threshold and you legally have to register and start charging the HST. So your price goes up. In Ontario, that's a 13% jump. No one likes price increases at the best of times, but if you have to jack up your prices because you have to start collecting tax and you don't even get to benefit from it, it hardly seems fair, right? And then think about the expenses you pay for your businesses. If you're not registered to pay for the HST, all of those expenses you're paying the tax on top of it. You don't get to recover that tax that you paid. Granted, it does reduce your taxable income, but I'd rather claim the full amount of the tax, the HST that I paid, than a percentage of it, right? And last, if you're using the quick method, as I mentioned, you could actually end up retaining more of that HST or GST that you collected than because you're using the averages. So bonus, bonus, bonus. If you get it set up and your systems are in place, it's not the burden that you think it is. It's quite simple compared to, say, something like income taxes. So take a look at your systems and get them working for you so that you can get to work on the things you want to work on. More on that topic another day. That's it for me, my friends. Thank you so much for checking out this video and my other videos. Remember, if you missed any, go back and check out the ones you missed. Make sure that you click subscribe so you don't miss any. Tell a friend, share with your friends. I will see you again next week. Until then, please take care of yourself. I am Heather. I am a business coach for health and fitness professionals. I help people who help people. Take good care, and I hope to see you again soon.